What's up, you guys? Loco here, and for you today, I have TSM versus Team Liquid. People just love hearing about TSM. If they are TSM fans, they like hearing about why they lost or celebrating their victories. And if you're a TSM anti-fan, which I'm gonna guess most of you guys are, you guys just like watching TSM lose and watching me react to TSM lose. It's kind of sad. Why so much hate? Anyways, this VOD is a little bit interesting because TL basically is doing what TL does, and so is TSM. TSM's actually repeating a lot of the mistakes from last year in 2019, so I would really love to see them fix it, and we can identify it together and have it in our heads for the next time they play next week. So, without further ado, let's get started with the Loco Recap. So, as always, let's start with the bans. I actually really hate what TL's doing on blue side with their bans. Normally when you're on blue side, you want to do what's called a sniper ban, where you're sniping out the enemy picks that they play really well and taking away their tools. But TL's actually banning out some of the OP picks that they don't feel really comfortable playing, Kiana and Lucian mostly. I think to be an absolute top tier team, you have to be willing to trade these picks, especially when we get to world stage. This is going to be a problem that's going to haunt TL. I want to be especially hard on TL for not being able to play these OP picks and banning them out, even with Broxton not being here, because this was the problem that plagued them at Worlds. They were very dominant in North America and got away with just running full-on teamfight comps, and it's kind of disappointing to see them opt into the same kind of comfort that they were in last year. Just ban out the OP picks that we don't play, don't pick them up, and just run our teamfight comps. Maybe it'll change when Broxa gets here, but still pretty disappointing to look at. As for TSM, I think the Rumble ban's a bit of a self-preservation from what happened in the game before. So a little bit funny to look at them first banning Rumble. And the Akali Senna ban are pretty normal. The Senna ban's more of a response to the Aphelios ban. So usually there's a handshake between both teams where they're like, okay, I'll play Aphelios, you play Senna, or you play Senna and I'll play Aphelios. And because TL banned Aphelios, TSM's replying with the Senna ban, making sure neither team gets the OP AD carry. When we get to the picks, TL's running, as I said, something very comfortable to them, like almost pick for pick. I think this is very similar to some of the drafts they were running in 2019. I see them overly prioritize J4. They did pick J4 in their second rotation in the game versus C9 also. I think Schernfire has probably some limitations and he doesn't feel that comfortable playing a lot of different champions, and they've probably found the most success with J4. J4 is also such a Team Liquid champion. He's a good team fighter, he can engage, he can be built tanky, so yeah. And rest of the comp, I mean, we've seen it before. Zaya Rakan for Core JJ double, Oriana for Jensen, Ornn for Impact, not much to talk about. As for TSM, they have a little bit more cohesive of a draft than they did yesterday, but this is still a bit hard to execute. It is not straight on a teamfight comp. There's some split pushing aspects to it, especially with the Gangplank and the Elise. And the Zilean pick, while it is a Bjergsen comfort pick, while it is a good pick against Oriana, I'm a little bit worried for it. So last year when TSM was playing Zilean a lot and they found a lot of success with it, it was with a lot of good diving champions. So a combo they ran very successfully was Zilean in the mid lane with Hecarim jungle. Now for this comp, there really isn't a good bomb delivery boy or a good target to speed up. Initially, Leona can be that target, but later on when people start buying QSS or they're running cleanse, Leona isn't the best target to put bombs on or speed up. So yeah, the Zilean pick falls off a lot harder when you can't combo it with a melee diver that you can really buff up, and TSM's going to have that problem later down the line. So, better comp than yesterday, but overall leaves a lot to be desired. Anyways, let's get started with the gameplay. The first play I have for you is this level 2 gank from Schernfire. Broken Blade and rest of TSM kind of expected this, that's why they have the Tri-Brush warded. So Schernfire going directly, Impact closing in on the distance. Broken Blade with a nice side step there, not being able to get knocked up, and he also dodges the damage. I think if he did get hit, he would have to burn Flash to survive, so yeah, he's able to save Flash and waste Schernfire's time. The next play I have for you is from TSM's end, Bifrost leading with a nice E-Flash on Doublelift, and Doublelift flashing a little bit prematurely, and Leona's Zenith Blade will follow you all the way through if you flash early like Doublelift did. I think if he saved his flash, he would have actually been able to live or at least burn an additional flash from Dardoch. So a mistake from him here. Now watch where Dardoch goes. He sees Doublelift TPing back and he knows the wave is pushed up, so he's going to loop all the way around and go for a regank. Now, TSM has Doublelift surrounded, and Doublelift doesn't have flash, so he's dead to right, and I don't really like this impact TP here. It's just not really going to solve the situation. The best thing they're going to get is probably a flash here. Dardoch dodging the EQ with E, impact following up with his smash, Dardoch eventually having to burn flash. I mean, he also smited the Scuttle to get HP back. I think he just should have flashed earlier, but anyway, still a really good game from Dardoch, up 2-0. Doublelift in a really shitty spot. He's running teleport, already burned TP, already burned flash. Very vulnerable to dives or any kind of reganks from this point onward. Now, we're going to see TSM take this Ocean Drake. I think if this was Season 9, it would have been completely fine of a play. Drakes mean a lot. Ocean Drake early is extremely powerful, but I really don't like it in this situation. Bjergsen is laning versus Jensen, who's running Clench, so he's easily able to get lane priority. And also, Broken Blade is level 6, and Kabe has 3 Doran Blades. I think something else that they could have done was either invaded for the second red that just spawned for Surenfire, or build up waves on bot side and dive Doublelift and Core JJ before Doublelift can get his flash back up. But instead, they just opt into getting Dragon. And Dragon just is not as individually as powerful as it was before. And also, this is kind of bummer for Dardoch in terms of tempo, since he was so ahead on Surenfire. So this iteration of TSM loves this tempo swap where they push out and then they just swap to top side. But you can see Kabe actually dropping some CS on bot lane, and Doublelift is up 18 CS on him despite starting the game 0-2. So yeah, I mean, this iteration just loves this play so much. I don't think they're getting that much out of it, especially if they're not just gonna directly connect this into a Herald. And with Dardoch doing Wraith, I don't think that Herald play is gonna come anytime soon, and TL's already matched their tempo swap. Luckily though for TSM, it is Misfortune with 3 Doran Blades, so she is going to be able to build priority, and they are going to be able to get Herald first. Now we have Dragon spawning up for TSM. Looks like Bio's here early to make sure to get it started, and to pull it out to make it easier for Dardoch to do, and defending the top lane push with the GP ult. Very nicely done. This is all okay, and this is all building into a lead. It's just, I don't really like it versus TL's comp. TL's comp will outscale TSM's. Xayah is extremely powerful later on. She will definitely outscale Misfortune. Jarvan's going to be more useful than Elise in teamfights. Orianna definitely more useful than Zilean, especially when Zilean doesn't have a ball delivery boy and someone to really speed up and take advantage of all the utility he's providing. So I just don't like this that much for TSM. And Impact using his ult to clear the wave, kind of like how a Rumble would. And Dardoch with very clever usage of Herald. By using Herald that way, and also when the turret is almost halfway dead, you get the maximum damage out of Herald, because the turret gets tankier and tankier the less plate it has, so you want to use the Herald true damage to get the most damage on it. I don't think they're going to be able to get another turret though, and TL's replying with the turret on top side. Oh wait, they actually don't get the turret on top side. But yeah, still, this is okay-ish for TSM, building a slow lead, but considering what kind of comp they have versus what kind of comp TL has, I'm a little bit worried with the pace of the game and what they're able to accomplish. Oh, never mind. TL's going to be able to get turret anyways. It looks like Doublelift stayed behind while Core JJ back to make sure they can defend bot side, so it ends up being a Dragon plus a turret for TSM and a turret for TL. So we have our first big 5v5 of the game. It looks like Inferno Drake is about to spawn in 20 seconds, and both teams has every single member walking up mid lane trying to get control. Bjergsen and Jensen pushing for priority. The supports and junglers trying to get river vision. It looks like TSM has control of that brush with a pink ward, and it's going to make it difficult for TL to face check. They go in there with Impact, who is tanky and who did block out the CC with a nice charge, and Core JJ misses his RW here on Bjergsen. That's going to be big. That's a huge engage tool, and Rakan's kind of worthless when he doesn't have his RW in this portion of the game. So it looks like TL is going to have to give up Dragon. They can't really check in there. They still have Ornult for engage, but I don't think it's going to be enough. So they're going back up on top side, trying to start Herald instead as a reply. Let's see how this plays. But it looks like they're not really going for the Herald. They know TSM's really close by, and they're going to get counter engaged on with GP ult and Leona ult. So not the greatest of engage from TSM, and we'll talk about why. You can see rest of TL is outside of the AoE for GP ult. And also, even though Biofrost lands a night flash ult, you can see the distance created between him and rest of his team. Bjergsen isn't close enough to land the double bombs afterwards, and also Jensen has cleanse, so he's not really a vulnerable target, and Doublelift has his ultimate. So this engage feels kind of overforced. If Misfortune was a lot closer, if Bjergsen was a lot closer, or even Dardoch or GP, basically if anyone was a lot closer, they could follow up with their own spells, but Biofrost Flash R with max Leona R range is just way too much distance created for anyone on TSM to follow up. So yeah, this fight's not going to go well for the boys in black and white. You can see TL counter-engaging with Ornult, Biofrost forced to burn stopwatch, and yeah, he's just going to get killed on the exit. So a little bit of an over-eager move from TSM. I think they should have been happy with the Inferno and also happy that TL's not doing Herald and just waited a little bit. So another thing I want to mention is kind of the game state right now. In terms of gold, TSM's at 20.4k, TL's at 28.1k, they're relatively close. TSM does have a 3-dragon lead with Ocean Drake, Cloud Drake, and an Inferno Drake on TL, but comp-wise, they're just getting too caught up. TL's carries are definitely going to be more useful later down the line, way more so due to Zilean not having the ball delivery. I think it's the third time mentioning this, you guys should know by now. And also because Misfortune went a very early game focus with 3 Doran Blaze. Doublelift just went the normal crit build. Jensen is going to be just independently good as Orianna, and he has an excellent ball boy in Jarbin and also Rakan. So yeah, just comp-wise, it's going to get harder and harder for TSM to execute, and the game state is not snowballing nowhere near enough for TSM to feel comfortable going into what's going to come up in mid-game. So at this point in the game, TSM has 3 dragons, and TL can't afford to give up a 4th to TSM. Them getting Dragon Soul this early in the game would be a nightmare situation, so yeah, we're going to see a fight for every dragon. Ornn starting with his ult, kind of the same problems that Leona had with her ult in the earlier play. Too much of a distance created and also not going on the best targets, Elise and GP. Pretty slippery. Looks like Schernfire is looking for a flank from topside. Kabe pulling the dragon down. Broken Blade getting the ult started on Jensen and Double. Really look at CoreJJ and Bjergsen here. CoreJJ able to land the perfect flash RW on Bjergsen, insta-giving him. Bjergsen had flash, he had ult, he didn't get to use either. And also a really big thing happens regarding Doublelift. We'll show you more in the replay, but both Broken Blade and Kabe's able to land their spells perfectly as Doublelift's coming down from his ult, so he got insta-gibbed and he didn't get to use flash either. Kabe overstepped here and got knocked up by CoreJJ, and rest of TSM on the run. But most importantly, I think TSM was a little bit too focused on Dragon in that fight, and everyone clumped in a not the greatest of ways, and they didn't even end up getting Dragon. So TL able to deny the Dragon Soul and also come out relatively even in the fight, which is great for them. So we talked about Bjergsen getting insta-gib, now let's look at Doublelift here. Broken Blade has 1 barrel down, and as Double is landing, he gets hit by MF Volt and the GP barrel. Perfectly done from Broken Blade. Jensen ult not quite landing on anyone but Biofrost. Dardoch got to repel out. And because Dardoch's so chunked, he did try to come back and smite the dragon, but Flash Smite not quite getting it off. Just got the flash off, and yeah, TL was able to get dragon. Very nice for them. Yeah, at this point, the game's getting harder and harder for TSM. You can see them lose vision all across the map. You can see TL slowly getting control of the waves. And this is just kind of what happens. Teams are able to catch you out like this. I don't really think this is Dardoch playing badly. It's more so you're gonna get caught out when the enemy team has vision, and you either just stay in base, do nothing, or you try to inch back a little, you try to make a pick somewhere, and you can get careless, you can lose track of where people are, and yeah, shit like this happens. So we have an Inferno Drake spawning in about 15 seconds, and TSM getting that will give them Dragon Soul and allow a small win condition. Maybe they can start winning team fights with that Inferno Soul, maybe they can start playing for Elder. But at this point, TL is just so strong. Like Impact has 2 upgraded items on the Ornn, and TSM just does not have the damage to kill Impact. They do have an AD carry in Kabe who's decently fed, but MF just isn't that great of a hyper carry later on, and yeah, TL gets to outmuscle TSM in this full-on 5v5. TSM doesn't really have flank potential, it's just doom and gloom for them. It's not like TSM is rolling over and doing nothing though, they're still trying to find angles that they can. They're doing this blue buff invade, Dardoch forced to E, and then now forced to run, and this angle is just not that great for TSM. They can't take that full on 5v5 team fight, and they're getting shoved away from Baron. And getting shoved away from Baron like this is really dangerous because one, they're going to lose all vision, they're going to lose mid prio, some of them are going to have to reset, some of them are going to have to walk all the way around, and this gives TL an opportunity to really take advantage of this situation. Jensen trying to chunk out Dardoch. Actually chunking out junglers later on in the game is really valuable because if you can force them to back, then you can just take Baron because their jungler isn't there. So yeah, at this stage in the game, just try to chunk people, try to pick people. Even if you don't kill them, if you make them back, you get vision. And also maybe you can just force the 4v5 at Baron because that person has to back, and it's especially good if it's a jungler. Bio and Dardoch trying to get some vision around Baron. Dardoch forced to flash and he's gonna have to recall. Doublelift getting onto the map actually really quickly by using teleport. And even though Broken Blade is split pushing bot side, TL can just ignore him. It's going to take him forever to get turrets, and also if he stays committed down there and split pushing, then TL just gets Baron. And it looks like that's what they're going to do anyways. They know Dardoch back, they know Dardoch doesn't have flash, they can easily burst it down with Orianna and Xayah. These champions are monsters at killing neutral objectives like Baron later on in the game. And even though TSM has vision on this, just Dardoch's way too far back after getting chunked out and recalling to actually come up here and contest. So with the last Baron they got, TL was able to push down mid, and they're just slowly outscaling TSM. It's just so inevitable, and TSM doesn't have a lot of options. At this point, you either do nothing and slowly lose the game, or you try to take a team fight, and this is what they're trying to do. Biofrost gets bursted down instantly. At this point, like, it doesn't matter, even if you're a Leona with gargoyles, like, you don't really have that much tankiness, and looks like rest of TL just going in to clean up rest of TSM. This game, I think, was really over in that one team fight where Bjerg didn't get to ult himself, and TSM really lost that fight badly, and they could just not get that Force Dragon for Dragon Soul. I think that's something that could have put them in the game. But also, they had a comp that was really hard to execute mid-game due to the Zilean synergy that we talked about, and they didn't snowball their early game that well at all. I really wish they did a lot more with that 2-0 lead that they were able to get by killing Doublelift really early in the game and shutting out the bot lane, but instead they played for small tempo leads, and once they got to mid game, their comp was just much harder to execute. So some final thoughts on the game. I think TL's going back to what's comfortable. They were the best team fighting team in 2019 with Impact playing tanks and Doublelift and Jensen playing carries, and with a more supportive jungler. We've already seen it, we know it works. I would love to see them push themselves because that's where they really struggled at Worlds. They didn't push themselves enough, and the champion pool was a problem. Like, pick up that Lucian solo lane, pick up that Qiyana in the jungle and mid lane. Maybe you can't do Qiyana until Broxah comes, but I would really like to see TL take it to the next level. As for TSM, this draft was definitely playable. I don't think this draft was anywhere near as bad as last time, but still really think about what kind of comp you guys are putting together. Zilean without a Hecarim, Zilean without a melee carry is just not the greatest in my opinion, and they don't snowball their leads aggressively enough. It is just so slow, and they're obsessed with this like tempo swaps. TSM, I get it, the tempo swaps are good, the early herald is good, but when you're up 2-0, you're going to be needing to be way more proactive to really get going. And yeah, that's it for this Loco recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And let me know if you guys want more Loco recaps or more of the other content that I've been doing where I talk about issues, where I talk about my ideas on the game, because I really like those. And I appreciate Loco Recap getting a lot of views, but I do want to make sure my content is diversified. Anyways, one last thing. I'm not crazy. I'm just Loco. Bye!